Notre Dame making a big splash in the shot put, first time out in the expanded Big East Conference. Some great performances by Connecticut and by the Syracuse people as well, so it made for a great day.
And one of the first things we're going to take a look at is an event that you used to compete in, the 35-pound weight throw. Let's take a look at that. That was yesterday in the Carrier Dome. Kevin McMahon, the record holder in the 35-pound weight throw. Kevin McMahon no longer competing in this tournament, but we do have someone competing from Boston College named Mark McGarity. Let's look at his style, Steve Hyder.
You need speed through the circle. You need technique. 4 turns here that McGarity uses. Perfect release. And he lands out there at 20 meters.
You can see the combination of footwork and arm strength.
He drives that right knee, spins on the left heel, and he tries to maintain a 45-degree angle of release, and he should be facing the front. He's doing in perfect position as he releases that 35-pound weight.
And Mark took first. His brother Sean from Boston College second, and Steve Santoli from Connecticut took third.
Now those guys can teach Cain and Abel a little something about sibling rivalry.
Speaking of that, you've got someone else. The women also throw this. Only it's 20-pound weight. Sonia Fitz is the record holder. This is Kim Johnson from Syracuse. Let's look at her form, Steve.
Tom Colehep, the weights coach at Syracuse, has done a great job. You'll see here that Kim goes with 2 turns in the circle. It's obviously more important to keep control, maintain control. We saw McGarity use the 4 turns. Kim feels better using 2. In time, she may be able to get 3 to try to pick up a little more speed momentum, but that, of course, that throw good enough for a first-place finish, and her teammate Nicole Jackson good enough for 2nd place.
And we'll be right back with more field events from the Carrier Dome, track and field championships of the Big East, right after this.
3x5 or 4x6, glossy finish or matte. When will your film be ready? And where does it go? You won't get answers from a Dropbox. So break out of there and come to Phase Drugs. Our certified photo specialists will answer your questions and personally handle your film. And every day you get a free mini album plus a free 2nd set of prints or a free roll of Phase film. So break the silence and talk to us at Phase.
I'm so proud of my grandson. He just did a raging 100-foot vertical.
Oh, that's nothing. My Daniel caught some wicked air.
That's bogus. My Billy ripped a whitewater freefall.
Well, my Thomas does the do.
Oh!
Nothing more intense than slamming Mountain Dew.
You must be very proud.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 1996 Big East Indoor Track and Field Championships. The Carrier Dome in Syracuse set now for the first track event of the day. It's the women's 1,000-meter run. Suzanne Girard from Georgetown in '84, Christine Slythe from LSU in 1985 hold the 2 marks in the Carrier Dome in terms of Big East and in overall Dome records. They are the starters: DeBoer, Henry, Jostin, Robinson, Murnane, Graham, Marzell, and Amy Ross for the 1,000. And Andy, your keys to beginning a 1,000-meter race.
Well, Dave, you've got to get out quickly, but too much energy, and also remain in contact with the leader so nobody gets away and steals the race. It's important here as you go down the backstretch to not break directly to the curb and run on a tangent to the start of the next curve so that you're not, in essence, increasing the distance you have to run.
So Georgetown with 4 runners out there in the track at the moment, and DeBoer, Henry, Ross, and Marzell. And immediately, Maisha Marzell from Georgetown establishing herself as the one to beat with a nice lead throughout that first lap through.
Marzell is running very relaxed, and she may indeed be the one to beat. She's an All-American in both the 800 and the 1,500 meter and has some of the best all-time performances at Georgetown, as being 2nd in the 800 meter and 4th in the mile.
Christine Jost from Villanova has a lock on the 2nd position at the moment, but right behind her is Suzanne Murnane from Providence College. Murnane 5th in the 800 meters at the Terrier Classic at Boston University, 3rd in the 800 at the New England Challenge Invitational in Boston as well, but not known for a 1,000-meter strength. Today in 2nd place. But right now, Maisha Marzell is running away with it literally as she widens the gap between herself and the field, Andy.
Marzell looking very strong, and appears that the field is losing contact with her, and if they don't make a move to close that gap, they're going to be in trouble. It's going to end up being a race for 2nd place.
Right now in 2nd, Suzanne Murnane from Providence. Amy Ross from Georgetown giving a run as well for 3rd place.
Christine Jost from Villanova is the second seed in this race and was a provisional qualifier for the NCAA coming into the meet. So we'd look for her to perhaps be one of the ones to come back if anybody can close it.
A good angle there at exactly how large a lead Maisha Marzell has on the rest of the pack. Second place, though, certainly a battle. Amy Ross and Suzanne Murnane from Georgetown and Providence, respectively, are going for it.
Marzell is running very relaxed with a nice big open stride, and it appears as though the race for second, everybody's struggling and working just a little bit harder. At this point, she's going to be really tough to catch.
One lap bell to go as she continues to widen the gap, and Andy, it appears as she goes on, she's gaining more and more strength and confidence.
She is, and she's also running very fast. This could be close to a meet record at the pace she's going.
Tough for our camera on the upper level to keep Marzell and the rest of the field in one shot, basically.
Murnane from Providence is establishing herself for the second position, and it looks as though it's going to be Marzell winning it easily, though.
Maisha Marzell from Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. No problem as she cruises in for the win. Suzanne Murnane of Providence, Amy Ross, and Angela Graham from B.C. in the pack for second place. It looked like Murnane was able to grab the second slot as she came in roughly 3 to 4 seconds behind Maisha Marzell. Here's the battle for second place, Andy.
Good finish. Actually, that's the battle for third place,
right,
I believe. And you've got a Boston College runner. Looks like she's being held off by the Georgetown runner, Amy Ross, though.
Amy Ross officially does take the race, at third place, rather, in the race behind Marzell and Suzanne Murnane from PC. So Murnane at 2:49.68, well behind Marzell's 2:46.07 time.
And Marzell's winning time of 2:46 is very fast, within a second of the meet record.
Set now for the 1,000-meter run for the men, and there are the marks to beat so far. Carrier Dome and Big East, and there are the starters. Bernier, Gabriel Merriam, Hujnacki, in addition to Jensen, Honerkamp, Gorman, and Hornsby of Georgetown, and they are off. How about the differences, Andy, between the 1,000 men and women's we'll see out here?
The men are obviously going out a lot faster, and it looks as though they're working a lot harder early in the race. The meet record time by Ross Donahue of 2:21.5 is an extremely fast time. They're going to be hard-pressed to match that. Ross is an Oswego native who started out at Villanova and transferred to St. John's before he graduated. But when he ran the 2:21, it was the world's best indoor time for that season.
Great start from Jonathan Hornsby of Georgetown, as he's able to get himself a lead. He was on the outside lane and able to jockey for position to come in, but right behind him is Jeff Hujnacki from Notre Dame, and a great move on the outside from Kevin Jensen of UConn, in addition to Pascal Bernier from Seton Hall.
Jensen taking a little bit of a lead there, but Hujnacki running a very smart race, staying right on the shoulder of the leader, conserving energy, and running in lane one, not contributing any extra distance to the length of his race by being out in the second lane, especially on the curves.
You can see there in the first four slots, Andy, two belong to Notre Dame runners. Kevin Jensen still in the lead with Hujnacki right behind him. Now Hujnacki and his teammate Pat Gorman from the Fighting Irish have already qualified for the IC4As at the 1,000-meter run. Hujnacki still in second place now behind Jensen.
Hujnacki looking relaxed. Jensen looks as though he's working a little bit harder. You can see how he's running with his upper body tilted forward and pumping a lot harder with the arms than Hujnacki is. He's just appears to be biding his time and running quite relaxed.
Jensen still has a lead, but not by much. Hujnacki showing a lot of strength, and as you said, does not appear bothered by the fact he's in second place at the moment. Relaxed and calculating the weight to make his move, and there he goes on the outside as we head into the final lap.
Very decisive move at a key point in the race with about 280 meters to go, and Hujnacki really taking over control of this race and driving hard for the finish line, and that's an important key when you take the lead, to do it and stay there till you hit the tape.
Look at Jensen fighting so hard for second place, along with Pascal Bernier from Seton Hall. Hujnacki, a tremendous finish as he takes over in the final lap, and Jeff Hujnacki of Notre Dame comes away with a win. Nice effort, though, Andy. In second place, Kevin Jensen behind him from UConn.
And Hujnacki becomes the first Big East champion on the track for Coach Joe Piani's Fighting Irish track team.
Big key to the race here, of course, was as he started that final lap, and that is exactly where Hojnacki took over with Jensen and never looked back after that.
Very strong move, and as I said, when you go to the lead, you need to do it with determination and with a decisive move, and that's exactly what he did.
The final numbers are set as Hojnacki is able to get himself a victory. Jeff Hojnacki from the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. A tremendous move toward the end of that final lap, and then went all the way to win it. He takes it with Kevin Jensen from UConn in second place. Jensen did run a very strong race. Gabriel Merriam from Georgetown in third. And Hornsby went all the way to seventh after that great start. Now ready for the 55-meter women's hurdles as we change gears completely here, Andy, to speed and jumping ability. And there are the starting positions. McCrae, Dyer, Allen, Nicole Belcher of Seton Hall, in addition to Hinderlife from Syracuse, Melton and Fletcher from Pittsburgh.
Belcher is the junior college national champion and All-American, and is also a top sprinter in the Big East Conference.
Transfer from Essex County College in New Jersey. And as we'll talk throughout the afternoon today, a lot of Seton Hall runners come from that school.
Off to a good start, and immediately Belcher takes a little bit of a lead, although the Miami runner there, Allen, is challenging her.
Katrina Allen right behind Nicole Belcher, and there is a Tanya from West Virginia in the third slot. A tremendous race run by Nicole Belcher of Seton Hall. As we said, the transfer in her first year with the Pirates, a junior college All-American.
You could see very good leg action on almost all of these hurdlers, where they're getting both the lead leg and the trail leg down on the track very quickly to avoid floating over the hurdle and spending more time in the air than they have to.
Looking for her first place finish this year. Already the ECAC qualifier, and there she is, Nicole Belcher, able to win the race today as she takes it with a time of 7.69. Katrina Allen from Miami not far behind. The best time this year for Seton Hall, that belongs to Nicole Belcher. And there they are at Allen, 7.71, and a Tanya from West Virginia at 7.74. On now to the men. 55-meter hurdles here at the Big East Track and Field Championships at the Dome. Kingdom and Kingdom. Roger Kingdom, gold medalist in the Olympics, of course. Everyone knows his name. Sharps, Williams, Murphy, and Dorival from UConn in the starting slots, along with Woodley, Leslie, Clark, and Kareem Archer from Villanova.
Dorival is the two-time Big East defending champion in this event and has already qualified for the NCAA.
NCAA qualifying time at 7.24, Andy.
A little bit of movement and shaking there on the start. I'm surprised the starter did not call them back. It looked as though one of the two runners were actually rolling forward when the gun went off.
Tremendous finish by Dudley Dorival from UConn. Not far behind him, Caldricus Leslie from Miami. Here's another look.
Actually, not a very clean run. A lot of the hurdles have knocked down several of the hurdles along the way, and it frequently happens when you lose them and hit one, you'll hit more as you go down the course.
Dudley Dorival from UConn is the winner as he takes it over Leslie, Woodley, Murphy, Williams, Archer, Sharps, and Clark. And there are the final times. Leslie second at 7.33, Dudley Dorival 7.25, and Woodley at 7.38. Time now for the 55 women's meter hurdles. Actually, we're going to the dash now, and the dash times, and there are the starting positions. Green, Higgs, Allen, and Williams. In the first four lanes, Jarrett, Stay, Mullins, and Bennett from Georgetown in the next four. 55-meter hurdle.
We just saw Katrina Allen a couple seconds ago in the hurdles, actually, was second place, and now she's coming back in the dash.
Let's make that the dash, and here we are, the 55-meter dash from the Dome today.
Great acceleration. Looked like Luann Williams in the middle of the track from Seton Hall won the race.
Another look on the replay.
You can see good lift and good arm action as she pushes through the finish, and yes, she clearly is the winner by almost half a stride.
There are the results. Luann Williams, 6.96 from Seton Hall. Katrina Allen from Miami, who was done very well today at 6.99. And Jarrett, 7 flat in the third spot from Seton Hall. So the Lady Pirates taking 2 of the top 3. 55-meter dash now for the men. Lee McCrae and Sam Grady from Tennessee hold the records. Meet and Carrier Dome. And the starting spots, Gator from Miami, Christie, Ellen Wood, and Corey Ward from Syracuse. in addition to Anthony Dorsett, son of former Dallas Cowboy star Tony Dorsett, and a Pitt Panther football player as well.
You know, Dave, you're getting old when some of the people that we followed as college athletes have children in the races now as college athletes themselves.
Tony Dorsett, the Hall of Famer, and there we go.
A long hold by the starter. But here comes a very close finish with it looked like Corey Ward from Syracuse coming from behind to just nip Dorsett at the finish.
Tremendous burst by Corey Ward from Syracuse University. As let's take another look at the photo finish. This one was mighty close. Wow.
It sure was. It looks as though, of course, the legs don't count, and it looked as though Ward got his torso across the finish line first and will be the winner.
Corey Ward from Syracuse takes it 6.28. Dorsett at 6.28 right behind him, and Ward wins the photo finish. Michael Christie from UConn at 6.32 takes the third spot. We're back in a couple of moments to the Big East Track and Field Championships at the Carrier Dome. Stay with us.
When you buy a new car, you expect great customer service to continue even after the sale. At Lamakia Honda, great customer service has been a tradition for over 22 years and 3 generations of the Lamakia family. Our factory-trained technicians are top-rated and always bring you the lowest prices in town. Experience the Honda feeling of lasting quality, reliability, and great service at Lamakia Honda, and find out why Honda owners never want to drive anything else.
Have you been to the showroom?
The Case Supply Kitchen and Bath Showroom. Over 17,000 square feet of fantastic displays with over 60 Kohler baths, showers, and whirlpools under one roof. Case Supply. We're more than just a Kohler showroom. We're an idea center with a trained sales staff of design professionals. Family owned and operated for over 35 years. Before you build a remodel, see the huge selection of Kohler fixtures at Case Supply, New York State's largest kitchen and bath showroom.
And welcome back to the 1996 Indoor Big East Track and Field Championships at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Time now to check in with results. First of all, from the women's 800-meter run, Julian Reynolds, who was a 16-time Florida State champion, is the winner. Angie Martin from Pittsburgh next, and Maxine Clark from Georgetown is third with a time of 2:10.49. For the men now, in the 800-meter run, Brian Woodward of Georgetown wins it with Royster of Seton Hall and Michael Shore of Georgetown right behind at 1:52.57. Very impressive running from the Georgetown Hoyas. 500-meter race now. First of all, for the women, Althea Tyndall of Seton Hall is a winner with a 1:11.43 time. Britt Junker from Notre Dame not far behind. Audrey Eford from Seton Hall, 1:13.95, takes the next position. 500-meter men to check in with. Royster, very impressive day for him, 1:02.53. He wins of Seton Hall. Maxwell Vos of Miami, 1:03.68 is next, and Shane Pratt from Seton Hall is in the third position. Team standings as we stand right now, Andy, and it's getting interesting with Pittsburgh, Georgetown, and Syracuse in the first 3 slots.
Georgetown scored 20 big points in that women's 800-meter, which really at this point put them to a fairly decisive lead.
We are set now to look at the women team standings, and there you go as we go all the way through Notre Dame in the 13th spot. The men's team standings, UConn and Georgetown pretty close. The Huskies 83.5 points. Notre Dame not far behind either in terms of second place behind the Hoyas, and Rutgers all the way in the end.
Notre Dame with a very impressive showing in their first Big East championship, and of course for Rutgers it's kind of welcome to the Big East, which is people are finding out as strong a track and field league as it is basketball probably.
Time now to check in with a 400-meter dash. First for the women, and we will see the race coming up. Letitia Harris from Seton Hall, the meet record at 53.50, the dome record 53.12 from Lily Leatherwood of Alabama back in 1985. Now let's check in with the starting positions for the 400-meter women's dash for today. Wright, Boston, Johnson, and Allen are in the first 4 positions. McFarland, Reynolds, Howard, and Keisha Wally round out the next 4. Andy, they're underway.
Of course, they'll run the whole first lap in their lanes and not break until they've crossed the finish line the first time. That's the reason for the big stagger.
Sandy McFarland from Syracuse.
The 400-meter has really got to the point where it has become an all-out sprint the whole way. There's no holding back in this race anymore.
She is top for the 500 meters for this team, top for the 300, and also top for the 400 for the Orange women this season. Her top 400 time.
25.4 coming through the first 200 meters. That's extremely fast, and McFarland is looking strong.
Sandy McFarland from Syracuse University.
A nice move by Bridget Johnson on the outside, but if she's going to take it, she's got to go now. She can't wait because there's not enough time once you get to that straight.
Georgetown Hoyas have had a strong showing, Andy, both for the men and the women. As usual, very good teams out here at the Dome today.
Frank Gagliano doing a great job coaching down there, and they're both defending champions, and it looks as though they're going to be in the hunt again this year.
They sure are. Sandy McFarland from Syracuse University with a 55.65 time, able to win and hold off Bridget Johnson from Georgetown. Here's that final stretch as they were able to take it over and win the race.
Johnson made a great move coming through the turn, but unfortunately did not do it as decisively as she could have, and had to run that extra distance in lane 2, and that's just the margin of victory for McFarland. But McFarland did run a very good race.
She sure did. Congratulations to Sandy McFarland of Syracuse University. She wins with Bridget Johnson not far behind. So McFarland in first, Johnson in second at 55.84, and Tasha Boston from Seton Hall at 55.86. We're now set for the men's 400-meter dash here at the Carrier Dome, and there are the meet and dome records to talk about. In addition to our starting positions, Davis, Green, Clark, and McElwain are the first 4 slots. In addition to Evans, Hampson, Kolowinski, and Chris Queso from West Virginia in 5 through 8.
Seton Hall with 3 runners in this race, and they have a great tradition in the 400 and 500-meter races. Of course, coached by John Moon, who himself was an Olympian in the 400 meters.
2 runners to watch out there are Davian Clark from Miami and Thomas Evans of Seton Hall. Evans was a junior college All-American, and we'll say it again, Essex County College, where a lot of the Seton Hall athletes come after spending 2 years.
Evans running strongly, and of course the camera was focused on him. It looked as though he was going to be in the lead at the break, but Clark held him off, and it's pretty important to get that little bit of lead. You can see how well Clark is lifting and reaching with those knees.
Clark is only a sophomore. He has the top 4 times this year at the University of Miami in the 400-meter men's dash.
Good move by Evans, but Clark fought him off, and looks like he's going to hold on for the victory.
Davian Clark able to do it from Miami. His best time heading in was a 47.11 at the Gainesville meet in Florida this season in the 96 indoor campaign. So Clark able to win the men's 400-meter dash. The final results at 47.78. Thomas Evans of Seton Hall 48.38, not far behind his teammate with the Pirates, Kevin Hampson, at 48.81. Very impressive job from Seton Hall. Now to the women's 200-meter dash. Letitia Harris from Seton Hall in 1994, the meet record, and she also has the dome record in that same effort. Here are the starting positions now. Catalina Stay from Villanova in the first slot. Jarrett Allen and Dawkins in 2 through 4. And 5 through 8, Davis, Durant, Tyndall, and Zilla Higgs from Miami.
This is a very fast field, Dave, and qualifying, they were all only about half a second apart. Speed obviously is of the essence here, and you can see how they're just running all out for the entire way. The whole race will be run in their lanes.
Zilla Higgs from Miami.
Looks like the runner in the middle of the track there is closing the gap a little bit, but see how sloppy she's getting with her upper arms and her head.
Higgs is able to win this one, Andy, with a time unofficially of 24.18. Now, she was among the top 2 finishers, 5th and 6th, also at Champagne's Invitational with a 24.74 and a 24.82. Here's the finish.
Very strong finish. Looks as though Dawkins from West Virginia in the middle of the track hung on for 2nd place, but another sprint victory for Miami, and perhaps the warm weather down there helps them in their training.
Sure is. Zilla Higgs able to take it 24.18. The automatic NCAA qualifying time, by the way, is 23.88, so short of that. Marlene Dawkins of West Virginia next at 24.40, and Durant 24.43. On now to the 200-meter dash for the men. There are the meet and dome records, and here are the starting slots. Williams, Tolson, Jones, and Dudley Dorval. We saw Dudley, a very impressive effort earlier with a shorter dash. Dennis, Gator, Ward, and Garfield Ellenwood round out the 8 slots. Ellenwood from Seton Hall.
Of course, you've got 2 previous winners in here with Ward, the dash winner, and Dorval, the hurdles winner.
Corey Ward is a junior captain. In fact, the only athlete at Syracuse on the SU team under full scholarship. So he's one of the most valuable. Tremendous move by Ward on the inside.
Ward was looking good. Gator from Miami got out early, but Ward is just really closing and running with great strength and mechanically very, very sound with good arm action and upper body action and knee lift.
The junior Corey Ward from Syracuse University takes first place in the men's 200-meter dash with a tremendous effort as he was nearly to the outside there, the second lane inside, and just a tremendous sprint down the stretch.
That outside lane is a difficult place to run from, Dave. Of course, you have a little less curve to run, but you can't see your opponents because they're all behind you in the stagger at the start. A great double win for Corey Ward, winning both the 55-meter dash and the 200.
There's some celebration as a Syracuse teammate congratulating Corey Ward. Here are the final results for the men's 200-meter dash. Ward from Syracuse takes it with Gator and Ellenwood rounding out the top three finishers. We've got a commercial break for you. Back with more after this.
Whether you're looking for a home multimedia computer or a networking system for your company, A to Z Computers has the right solution for you. We are the largest custom personal computer manufacturer in Central New York. We build the best system for you. Our zero-pressure sales staff offers unbeatable prices. Every A to Z system is backed with unparalleled customer service and technical support. Our experienced staff is available 7 days a week. For mail order prices and the best in local technical support, it's A to Z Computers on the corner of Erie and Thompson next to Sherwin-Williams.
3x5 or 4x6, glossy finish or matte. When will your film be ready? And where does it go? You won't get answers from a Dropbox. So break out of there and come to Phase Drugs. Our certified photo specialists will answer your questions and personally handle your film. And every day you get a free mini album plus a free second set of prints or a free roll of Phase film. So break the silence and talk to us at Phase.
Back under the big Teflon roof here in the Carrier Dome at the Track and Field Championships. Dale Dreipolch along with Steve Heider. Let's look at the women's shot put. The meet record held by Lisa Francis from Syracuse, set in 1995. And Steve, she's back in the event this year, and she is quite a physical specimen when it comes to putting that shot.
You know, strength again, the strength and speed and technique is so important. The technique especially. She'll try to draw that right leg under to about halfway across that 7-foot circle. Again, a 45-degree angle of release. And she gets it out there 49 feet 6¼ inches, and pretty good heave.
Gets the congratulations of her teammates, and let's look at the finals. Lisa Gay Francis, 15:09. Lorraine Smith from St. John's, the runner-up at 14:06, and Tiffany Bates from Connecticut at 13.64.
Completes the clean sweep and the throws for the Syracuse ladies.
Let's look at the triple jump. Meet record held by Ray Humphrey from Georgetown, and we're going to look at a couple of runners, but Steve Baldy from Georgetown, far and away the best jumper.
Stephen Bally right there. You saw his attempt. The principle in the triple jump. First two at the hop skip, you try to remain as flat as you possibly can while accelerating on your third, the jump. You see Baldy awfully excited. It's almost the principle, Dale, of like skimming a rock across the water. There's the hop, the skip, and he will try to accelerate and try to get as much speed as he can on his third jump.
And of course they measure from the furthest point back. 15.67, not too far ahead of Lamar Justice from Notre Dame in second, and Wally Muhammad from Connecticut in third place. High jump, meet record, Jim Hobson from Connecticut. That record is held since 1983. You're looking at Jonathan Kurian from Syracuse University as he gets set to take his jump.
Usually a 10 or 12 step approach to the bar. He'll start to pick up some speed here and accelerate. The Fosbury flop. They used the straddle up until about 1968. Dick Fosbury, the American high jumper, popularized the Fosbury flop, and that's what Kurian used here.
Great look at it here, and you're going to change this into feet and inches at 6'11" if that's what you're into. And look at this little replay from the cam on the bar.
Not much room to spare for Jonathan Kurian, but enough to take first place here in the Big East Track and Field Championships.
Let's take a look at the final results. Kurian with 2.11 meters in first. Sean Earl from Connecticut, 2.06 in second, and Steve Blaze from Villanova in third place. We're moving on to the shot put. Meet record, Andrew Carey from Connecticut in 1990. And we're looking at some new people. Here's a guy from Notre Dame, new in the Big East, and they did very well in the field events.
We saw Lisa Francis from Syracuse use the drive straight across the circle. Here we'll see The rotary maneuver used by Mike Fleisch. Again, try to release it at 45 degrees, and just a terrific technique for the big guy.
59 feet 6 inches, and watch the form. A lot of explosion and a lot of emotion out of the shot putters. I enjoy watching them. There's a lot of pent-up emotion. You can tell they've really got to be focused, and Fleisch did a great job. As a matter of fact, a couple of records fell. He set the new record for the Big East Conference, but the runner-up also set the record or broke the record. So good shot put action from the Big East.
Fleisch wins it, but the 4 of the next 5 places taken by Connecticut throwers, coached by Teddy Gibbons at the University of Connecticut. So great showing for not only Notre Dame, but the University of Connecticut.
You see Wilkes and Santoli there, and they garnered a lot of points for having that many people. Let's move on to the high jump. Meet record, Diane DePhillips from Syracuse, 1987 in the high jump. You got a person here, Najuma Fletcher from Pittsburgh. She won in 94 and 95. She's looking to three-peat, and let's take a look at it. She got some great legs, just a great jumping ability.
We saw Currian approach from the right side. She approaches from the left side. Kind of like Newton's third law of physics. Every action has an equal or opposite reaction. You want to take off if you're approaching from the left side like she did on your right foot. Same principle as if you're making a layup in basketball. You'll see her take off right here off the right foot.
And she just has so much strength. Steve, I saw her in the prelims, and she's got such strong legs. She actually cleared the bar by a lot more than that in the warm-ups. But here she is again from the cam right on the bar, and she's just going to nick it with her heel, but the body cleared by a good margin.
All these folks will have some opportunity to practice again. The IC4A is coming up down the road in the National NCAA Collegiate Championships. So plenty of opportunity.
Najuma Fletcher finishes the three-peat. Patty Tanya from West Virginia in second, and Christy White from Rutgers at 1.68. At the end. Let's take a look at some of the pole vault results. Tom Ryan won at 4.95. 3 guys at the same. Misses decided this one. Dave Gardy from Notre Dame and Mike Brown from Notre Dame also. So very close result in the pole vault.
Now for the 4x800 meter relay for the men. The meet record belongs to Pittsburgh back in 1987. The same for the dome record. And Andy, here are the positions to start off for the schools: Georgetown, Pitt, Rutgers, and Seton Hall in the first 4. Providence, BC, UConn, and Syracuse in the next.
The relays are always exciting, Dave. You know, obviously you've got 4 people involved instead of just one, sharing the experience. It's more of a team effort, and traditionally the relays have been very strong in the Big East Conference. Little mix-up at the start, and somebody, it looked like Boston College dropped their baton.
Hate to see that at the very beginning, especially. Syracuse off to a pretty good start.
Syracuse running well early in the race, got clear of all the traffic, and running very strong, but it's a long race when each of the 4 runners has to go 800 meters.
How about a pacing style for an event like this? What has to happen at the beginning and then toward the middle, especially as you get ready for that final kick of the 800 meters?
The big thing, as in any middle distance race, maintain contact and be able to give your anchor man a chance to win the thing. If you can keep it close through 3 legs and he has contact, normally teams will save their best runner for last and give him a chance to win it in the final lap or 2.
Syracuse a good start. The battle for second place is what is up for grabs right now. Georgetown right behind.
Looks like Georgetown, Providence, and Pittsburgh.
The rest of the pack starting to thin out and then really spread apart as we head down toward the end of the first leg. Each runner going 800 meters.
In the indoor track season, you really need a lot of middle distance runners. When you look at the 500, 800, 1,000, 15, and then you've got a 4x8 and a distance medley relay, it really takes quite a few distance runners, as opposed to the outdoor season where sprinters and hurdlers become a little bit more of a premium when you've got the shorter relays.
Look out here, Andy. Here comes Notre Dame, then taking over the top spot. Syracuse dropping all the way back to 5th in one quick momentum swing. UConn and Notre Dame, the first 2 teams.
The field has really picked up the pace as they're getting into the finishing stretch here on the first lap, and I've got about 155 for the leadoff runner from Notre Dame. Very good leadoff leg.
Syracuse at one time held the lead in the 3,200 meter relay event here today at the Carrier Dome, the 96 Big East Track and Field Championships, and all of a sudden the Orangemen have dropped way back in what looks like a 6th position, and a Syracuse runner stumbling a bit as they head into that second lap.
You can see the third and fourth runners really closed and competing with each other for that third position, closed on the first two runners. And now you've got basically a 5-team race. But Syracuse is still in there, a reasonably close 6th.
Things still very tight, though, between the first two, really the first 4 teams.
Notre Dame and Georgetown out front. They're both running very strong and both have excellent 4x800 relays that could be factors when it comes down to the further championships in the season, the IC4As and the NCAA Indoor Championship.
Georgetown at one time in second place, now in first. And Notre Dame dropping all the way back to the third slot. So
that's St. John's runner. Right. They're also running a very strong leg, and they're right in contention and contact.
All of a sudden, things have changed around. Georgetown and St. John's. St. John's with a great final push. One more lap to go in the second leg of the men's 3,200-meter event today from the Carrier Dome. The Red Storm and the Hoyas out front right now. Syracuse had a big lead to begin, but as Andy has pointed out, it is a long race and a lot can happen. And the first two teams now, Andy, widening the gap between the third place Notre Dame squad.
Georgetown runner looked very relaxed, even in the facial muscles and the jaws. You could see the St. John's runner was struggling just a little bit. I've got about another 155 for the second leg. Georgetown off to a real good start on leg number 3.
Two pretty good legs then run by the Georgetown and St. John's teams. And right now it is the Hoyas and the Red Storm out front with Notre Dame in third place.
Well, we have a second here, and you see UConn there. This is a very important race in terms of the team standings as they're developing. Going into this, University of Connecticut was leading Georgetown by a few points, but Georgetown coming up with some very strong relays in these last 2 races. So the team championship could be determined, and it could go right down to the wire, depending on how these teams finish with respect to each other and who might separate them in the standings in these relays.
We saw Jonathan Crash running for Notre Dame. He is in the third spot right now, trying to kick in as we head toward the last lap of our second leg.
Georgetown and St. John's running very strong, and did not see many St. John's runners earlier in the meet. Perhaps they saved some people to run them fresh in this relay, the way it looks.
Athletes really pacing themselves as we head down toward this final lap of the second leg. How about the exchange, Andy? How important is that, and what strategy heading into a meet like this?
It's important to get a good, clean exchange and try to keep that baton moving at the same pace going all the way around the track. Of course, you don't want to drop it or get in a position where you might get in traffic in that exchange zone and have it jostled out of your hand, but it's not as crucial in these longer relays as it is in the short ones. If you get into the 4x100 or the 4x4, which we'll see a little bit later on in the meet here.
Just Jeff Hajnacki. We've seen Jeff do very well in different events here today. Hajnacki is the one for Notre Dame running, and running away from the field as he passes off to a teammate. Great job by him down the stretch of his 800 meters.
Hajnacki was the winner in the 1,000, and I had him for about a 153 on that leg, which it's a tremendous double for him to win the 1,000 and come back and run that fast in the relay here. Georgetown staying right behind. The Hoyas are led in this leg by Corey Henderson. He's a senior. At this point, it's just a strategy race. Of course, Notre Dame's trying to take a little bit of the kick out of Georgetown legs there, and Georgetown just sitting on his shoulder and waiting for the moment when he feels strongest and is able to make that move and toward the minute. You also see, looks like the University of Connecticut closing the gap here, and again, this is crucial between Georgetown and Connecticut when it comes to that team race. Things very interesting with the standings throughout the day. Kevin Jensen is the athlete for UConn out there. We saw Jensen and Hajnacki battle early in that 1,000-meter run. Hajnacki came out the winner. Yes, look, Georgetown now has taken a lead and starting a drive as opposed to waiting to the last lap with a strong burst. He's starting a long drive a couple laps out and moving very well. He looks strong and mechanically very sound. Fantastic job by Corey Henderson of Georgetown. He is able, heading into the final lap of our third leg, to give the Hoyas a nice lead. Jensen from UConn making a move on Notre Dame. There he goes, passing on the outside. Jensen running well also, but I'm not sure he's got enough left to catch the Georgetown runner.
Henderson in full sprint.
St. John's now moving to third place also with a real nice kick and finish.
Here comes Henderson down the stretch. And he's able to finish. Great job by Corey Henderson of Georgetown.
Nice strategic race by Georgetown where he just kind of bided his time and made his move when he felt comfortable going by Notre Dame, but the Connecticut runner ran an excellent last leg in trying to close that and get the victory and try to close the gap for his team in terms of the team standings.
Final results: 4x800-meter men's relay at the Big East Championships. Georgetown, Connecticut, and St. John's at 7 minutes 40 seconds, .77. That is the finish. Now we go to the 3200 women's relay, and there's Villanova with a meet record. The dome record also belonging to Villanova in 1985. And here are the positions: Providence, Georgetown, UConn, and BC, and then Rutgers, Villanova, St. John's, and Seton Hall. Syracuse is not out in this event. And the 10th spot, there they are. Notre Dame and Pittsburgh round out the 12. There we go.
Actually, there's a lot of teams in this race. You can see a little bit of jostling there on the inside. Boston College almost lost their footing, and still some pushing and shoving going on. But Georgetown out to a clean start.
Lane assignments, as we said, Pittsburgh all the way at the bottom. So how about strategy in terms of having all those bodies out there on the track, Andy? How does that change things?
You need to get out to a clean start and try to keep clear of flying arms and legs, and it's very difficult. This is almost too many teams to run in one section of this race, because even though they used what they call a California start with 2 boxes and tried to keep the runners apart from each other in the first half lap, you can see it's just a mass of bodies and separate themselves a little bit. It's more a case of staying out of trouble than it is trying to do anything positive at this point in the race.
Carolyn Long of Notre Dame has an early lead, but not far behind her. Providence College making a pretty good run as well. Graduate student Maura Harrington trying to keep things going for the Lady Friars at this point.
Villanova also making a nice move on the outside.
Providence right now in first place. Initially it had been Notre Dame, but you see the Fighting Irish and Carolyn Long really losing position. Now back into the 4th slot. You can get overtaken that quickly.
Lars was out to a good early start, but looks like perhaps she went out a little bit too fast. With another lap to go, she's starting to struggle a little bit.
Providence has the lead into the final lap of the first leg. St. John's not far behind.
And Boston College, after an early stumble there, has recovered nicely and brought themselves back into the race.
BC in 3rd place at the moment. Maura Harrington in first right now for Providence as the first exchange is complete and the Friars have a lead, but it is early.
Good clean exchange, and everybody's away clear without any jostling or pushing or drop batons, which is always good to see.
Great move by St. John's right off that exchange.
This second leg is a little bit more competitive than they started out. As you can see, with the runners having a little more space, they can use their stride more efficiently and not have to run defensively. They can actually get a little more aggressively and try to run their own race.
Shamika Qualo, Andy, has overtaken the Providence lead, and St. John's now has the advantage. Shamika, only a freshman, running the second leg of the 3,200-meter women's relay today. Chrissy Hack, a junior, is going for Providence at the moment in second.
Looks like Georgetown also making a nice move on the outside and has closed the gap tremendously in the first lap and a half of this race. And they're right back in the hunt.
6 schools right now involved in a pretty good chase in the second leg. Georgetown, St. John's, Providence in the first 3, and BC, as Andy said, staying right in it. Georgetown has the lead at the moment. Shamika Qualo, the freshman from St. John's, losing a lot of steam, Andy. All of a sudden, she's fallen back into the 4th, 5th slot now. A moment ago, she was leading. Looks like there are 2 heats out there. 6 runners in the first heat, and then 6 more behind. Georgetown with a nice lead. Right now it's the Hoyas and Providence with Boston College in third. Notre Dame trying to make a late run. The Irish had a great start to this race. Notre Dame now taking over third place. Good effort by the Irish on an outside move.
Notre Dame really brought themselves back into this race, and as we get into this next exchange, you've got...
Look out, here's Amy
close.
Siegel for Notre Dame. What a late burst for her, the 1182 jersey, and she put the Irish, Andy, a brief lead, but now Notre Dame and Providence battling for first place.
Got Notre Dame, Providence, Georgetown all right there, and Boston College just a step behind.
That's Megan McCarthy, a senior, leading things for Providence right now. The Fighting Irish, Georgetown, Notre Dame still right there. Stephanie Van Hoff, a freshman for Notre Dame, is keeping the Irish in third place.
This is going to be a great final closing leg here for this relay, and after the first 3 runners have worked so hard, it's good to see that they all have a chance to do something with their anchor person.
The race has gone back and forth, Andy. We've seen several teams have the lead. Providence hanging tough with Georgetown right now. Notre Dame has done a great job in coming from way behind, 5th and 6th slot into the 3rd right now, and they're within striking distance. Megan McCarthy of Providence College trying to keep the Friars in the lead, but Georgetown
making a strong move here, and
very nice burst on the outside. Looks like Tanika Williams, a sophomore, is out there to give the Hoyas a lead.
Notre Dame still gamely trying, but they're losing ground as these first 2 teams battle it out, and looks like it's going to become a race between the 2.
Georgetown and Providence in the 1st and 2nd slots. 3,200-meter women's relay, the 96 Big East Indoor Track and Field Championships. And all of a sudden, the pack is now coming together again. Look at the outside move made. Looks like Villanova.
This is a great race where Notre Dame is coming back into it also. Tremendous efforts on the part of those 2 teams to close that gap and come back.
There's senior Stacy Robinson, 1436 jersey number, with a great late rush. Notre Dame not far behind, so all of a sudden Villanova the leader, and Georgetown has fallen way back. Villanova and Notre Dame in 1st and 2nd place.
You see the Villanova runner running very relaxed and easy. The Notre Dame runner perhaps working just a little bit harder at it. Her turnover and stride seems a lot quicker at this point. But it's still early in the race. That is not necessarily a good thing.
Christina Sullivan now leads the pack, Andy. She is out front for Villanova, but not by much over Notre Dame. The Irish trying to close the gap. Providence at one time led, now way back into 4th position. Georgetown in 3rd as we speak.
Sullivan is an All-American who we saw earlier place 2nd in the mile, so certainly she has the ability to run a high-quality race here.
Emily Edwards is trying to catch Sullivan right now. Edwards behind her by a few strides. And there are the 2.
Sullivan appearing to open up a little bit of ground, but as we've seen as this race has progressed, anything can happen, and that could change.
Christina Sullivan, she is a junior and now really widening the
running a very strong race, and at this point it appears as though she's picking the pace up and turning over the frequency of her stride pattern.
Georgetown one time dominating this race, all the way back in 3rd position now. 1 lap to go. Sullivan continues to widen the gap, and as Andy pointed out, getting stronger as it goes on. That's the most impressive thing about her race at the moment, and her leg. What a job she's done.
Running like a true All-American that she is. Just a tremendous job to put the pressure on and really look at the length of the lead that she has opened up. Tremendous effort for her.
challenging to lap some of the poor performers out there in the bottom part of the heat. Sullivan with a strong finish crosses the finish line in first place, and Villanova able to win the 3,200-meter women's relay here at the Big East Indoor Track and Field Championships at the Carrier Dome. And the anchor person with a incredible rush down the finish to widen the gap, and it was not even close.
Now, Villanova did an outstanding job and saved their best runner for last, it appears, or their freshest runner, and tremendous performance.
There are the results. Villanova 8:58.13. Notre Dame is next, and then Providence. Now to the 4x400 meter relay for the men. The meet record set by Seton Hall in '92. SMU owns the dome record. That was several years back. West Virginia in lane 2. Seton Hall, Miami, Pitt, Georgetown, and Villanova in the first 7 slots for today.
Seton Hall, as we saw earlier, has some very outstanding 400 and 500 meter runners that placed very high in the meet, so I would look for them to be right in the thick of this thing. But Miami has also an excellent team, and they could also be in the hunt. Again, this really becomes crucial with Connecticut and Georgetown in here as they finish with relation to each other, because it has come down to this for the team championship.
Good start from Miami as they've got an early lead.
Pittsburgh making a great move down the backstretch, followed by Seton Hall, who you figured would be right there. And here comes Georgetown.
Georgetown Hoyas hoping to win again. They're the defending champs, along with the women. Both men and women won here at the Dome a year ago. The men took their 6th title. That was over Seton Hall last year by 14.5 points. Here's the first exchange, Andy.
Great opening leg, good clean exchange. Them in about seconds and 7/10, which is tremendous, and all 3 teams were right there.
Year in and year out, Georgetown so strong in almost every event on the track. Their field competitors haven't been quite as good, but a great tradition the Hoyas have put forth. Hoping to win here again today for the men in a literal dogfight, or should we say a husky fight with the Yukon Huskies.
UConn and Pittsburgh right in there, and of course you're out Seton Hall out front individually in this race, and then you've got Pittsburgh and Georgetown.
Seton Hall on the exchange with the lead over Pittsburgh right now.
A little bit sloppy exchange on the part of Georgetown there, but they did get it off.
Miami, after the great start, is back in 4th position at the moment.
Seton Hall running very strong and has opened up a considerable lead here. Miami coming back on Georgetown just a little bit.
Seton Hall still out front of Pitt. The gap has stayed about the same since the exchange on this leg of the 1,600-meter men's relay.
Pitt looking to close that gap a little bit. It appears though he may have a little bit more left than the Seton Hall runner, but Seton Hall still running very strongly, and everybody finishing their leg with nice intensity.
Seton Hall, strong finish as they're looking for that to take this event.
Excellent start on the 3rd leg here by Seton Hall, getting right out there and going after it. With Georgetown now back in 3rd place, it could have a big impact on the team standings, because all Connecticut has to do, I think, at this point is finish the race to hold on for the team championship.
Michael Schroer is out there for Georgetown, trying to close the gap in a 2nd place behind Pittsburgh, but I don't think that's going to happen either. Seton Hall with a big lead.
Running very strongly, all alone.
Pirates able to take this one without any problem, the 1,600.
Georgetown did come in for 2nd place in the relay, but I don't think that's enough to win the meet for them at this point. I think as long as Connecticut finishes, they're going to hold on and win in a very close finish.
Trying to dethrone the Hoyas, last year's champs, but boy, is Georgetown excited to finish in 2nd. Those guys may think they have won it all. Let's take a look at the 1,600-meter men's relay final standings. Georgetown takes it 3:15.97 with Pitt and Miami in 2nd and 3rd place.
Dave, we had
First of all, now the women's final team stats, and here they are. Georgetown defends their championship and wins again at the Carrier Dome. The Hoyas in style over Pittsburgh, Seton Hall, Villanova. They are the next few. Rutgers finishes out in last place. West Virginia, UConn, St. John's, Notre Dame in 8, 9, 10, and 11 spots. Now, a chance to look at the men's standings. Andy, here they are, and explain it, a late change.
In that last relay, Seton Hall was disqualified, which gave Georgetown the first place in the 4x400 relay, and that won the meet for them by half a point over Connecticut.
So the Hoyas win their 7th title overall with a tremendous finish. It was not easy there at Pittsburgh, Villanova, West Virginia, BC, Providence, and Rutgers, finishing out the men's final team standings from the Carrier Dome today. And a very exciting day of Big East track and field championship action. Now for my broadcast partner, Andy Jugan, our other gentlemen on the field doing such a great job today, Dale Dreipolcher, Steve Heider. This is Dave Ryan for the entire Adelphia Cable crew saying so long, everyone, from the Carrier Dome.